The exciting story begins by showing a man named Michael sitting with his father. In fact, Michael and his father belong to a priestly family. In their family, every generation's child becomes a priest. Now, Michael and his father were preparing a deceased lady for her funeral, as this was the job of all the priests. Michael asks his father how the lady died. His father simply tells him that as priests, it's their job to prepare the body, and they don't need to know the reason for her death. They were only shown a small necklace on the lady's body, and there were many devilish tattoos on her. These things were strangely combining, almost like they were interrelated. However, Michael and his father didn't dwell too much on it and moved on with the task. Later, Michael goes to a friend and tells him that his father wants him to become an exorcism priest, meaning he should reach a high position in the priestly family. But Michael wasn't interested in such things. He was quite intelligent and wanted to work in a multinational company. However, he tells his friend that he is accepting the offer to become a priest because it's his father's dream for him to become a great priest. His friend tries to stop him, telling him that he is capable of getting any job and asking why he would go down this path. Michael comes up with a solution, saying that he will complete his training, and as soon as he is awarded the priesthood, he will clearly state that he is not fit to be a priest and will quit to join a multinational company. His friend likes the plan, and Michael starts his priestly training from that day. Now, 4 years later, we see that Michael has completed his priestly training with some of his friends. There was a guy named Father Matthews, who taught all the students. Father Matthews was most impressed by Michael, as his overall grades were very good. However, Father Matthews tells Michael that he has scored very low in one subject, exorcism. Father Matthews wants to talk to Michael about something important, so he calls him for a meeting at night. But Michael simply tells Father Matthews that he is not good at priestly duties and that he wants to leave these things and move on with his life. Father Matthews ignores this and insists on meeting him that night. At this point, Michael is unsure how to get out of all of this and move on to a multinational company. Now, it's night time. Michael was standing on the roadside waiting to meet Father Matthews, who was crossing the road from the other side. Suddenly, a lady riding a bicycle accidentally bumped into Father Matthews, causing him to fall severely injured. The lady also fell off her bike, but just then, a truck came and hit her directly, leaving her so badly injured that she was gasping for her last breaths. Michael quickly ran to help them. Father Matthews was fine, but Michael went to the dying lady. When the lady realized that Michael was a priest, she asked him to bless her so that she could go to heaven and have her sins washed away. According to his rules and regulations, Michael blessed her and wiped away all her sins. The lady passed away right there. A little later, Michael and Father Matthews were sitting together, but they didn't discuss the incident, as if it was just another casual occurrence for them. Father Matthews told Michael that he wanted him to take exorcism classes so that his position would rise even higher. However, Michael kept requesting that he didn't want to be a priest and couldn't handle all these things. Father Matthews, who had seen how Michael blessed the dying lady, was impressed and said, "You can become a good priest because recently, evil activities have been on the rise, and we need a priest like you to help rid us of those dark forces." Father Matthews then suggested that there was a church in Rome forming a team of brave priests like Michael. They would cover all the living and learning expenses, but Michael would need to undergo training there for a few months. Initially, Michael rejected the idea, but then Father Matthews threatened him, saying that the church had already given him an amount that would be converted into a loan that Michael would never be able to repay. With no other option, Michael reluctantly agreed to continue the exorcism classes. He left for Rome, where his training would begin. This was serious exorcism training, which could be dangerous and involved activities to remove demons from within humans. Michael arrived in an important exorcism class in Rome, where Father Javier was teaching. Father Javier was explaining the procedures to follow before performing an exorcism. He emphasized that before performing an exorcism, it was essential to ensure that the patient wasn't suffering from mental trauma or physical illness. After confirming this, only then could they determine if a demon truly possessed the person. The best way to identify possession, according to Father Javier, was to observe if the patient isolated themselves socially, as demons didn't behave in that way. Additionally, if the patient inflicted harm on themselves, it was another indication of possession. These were some of the symptoms they would use to identify if a person was truly possessed. Father Javier showed videos and images of patients who had been possessed by demons but had been freed by skilled priests who performed exorcisms to cast out the demons. While teaching, Father Javier suddenly noticed something unusual about Michael. He saw something that no one else had observed, and he appeared slightly scared. As a result, he asked Michael to meet Father Lucas. Michael went to meet Father Lucas, who lived in a dilapidated place. Father Lucas spoke with Michael about his studies and interests, and the two of them formed a good bond, as they both belonged to the same profession. Father Lucas invited Michael inside his home, where he noticed several cats around the house. There, Father Lucas's assistant, who was also a relative named Rose, was sitting on a chair. It was revealed that Rose was pregnant, but she behaved strangely with the cats. Michael observed her behavior closely. Father Lucas then explained to Michael that Rose was possessed by a demon, and he needed Michael's help to confirm this. Father Lucas gave Michael a bag and asked him to place something important inside it. Michael put an American dollar note inside the bag, and they both went to Rose. Father Lucas asked Rose to guess what was inside Michael's bag, but Rose couldn't. After some time, Father Lucas became more aggressive and insisted that Rose tell him what was inside. Gradually, Rose's behavior became more aggressive, and it genuinely seemed like something was controlling her. In a strange voice, she finally revealed that the bag contained an American dollar. Michael took out the dollar and showed it to Father Lucas, who confirmed that if the patient could guess things that they had no way of knowing, it was the first sign of possession. Father Lucas then started speaking in Latin, and as he did, the demon inside Rose began to struggle to come out. The demon cursed Father Lucas, but he was experienced, and after chanting a few Latin words, Rose passed out. Father Lucas's assistant then took her away, saying that Rose needed rest. Afterward, Michael asked Father Lucas how long it would take for the demon to completely leave Rose's body. Father Lucas explained that the process was long, and it could take months to fully expel the demon. However, he reassured Michael that there was no need to worry because the Latin words he had spoken would help drive the demon away. Once Michael returned to his church, he met Angela, a reporter. Angela was also trying to meet Father Lucas for some research papers, but Father Lucas had refused her request. So, Angela befriended Michael and gave him her card. For the moment, they became friends. Michael was attending a lecture in the church where the priest explained that just as gods have a hierarchy, so do demons, with different levels. As the levels increase, demonic powers grow stronger. The priest also named many types of demonic forces, but suddenly, the electricity in the entire class went out, causing the class to be abruptly dismissed. Later, Michael noticed a small locket in his pocket, which had somehow ended up there after he left Father Lucas's house. He decided to go back to Father Lucas's house to discuss it. Father Lucas and Michael sat down with Rose and asked her why she had placed the locket in Michael's pocket. Rose denied knowing anything about it, but then she revealed that her father had given it to her. Father Lucas explained that Rose's father had left her and moved to the city years ago, and that's when the strange and dangerous occurrences began with Rose. Michael became worried because the locket looked identical to one he had seen earlier, when he was preparing the body of the lady for the funeral in the story's beginning. Father Lucas, concerned about the situation, tied the locket around Rose's wrist and began chanting in Latin. The demon inside Rose began to manifest violently, screaming and struggling to escape. The demon started speaking through Rose, revealing disturbing details about the dead woman Michael had prepared for a funeral earlier in the story. The demon recounted events that only Michael and his father knew, making Michael deeply disturbed and shocked. It was as if the demon had knowledge of things no one else should have known. The demon also started threatening Michael, choking him, causing his condition to deteriorate rapidly. However, with Father Lucas's help, Michael managed to calm the demon inside Rose, and she fell unconscious. Before losing consciousness, Rose expelled several long, sharp black nails from her mouth, which were extremely dangerous. She was then transferred to the hospital for rest. Michael, puzzled by these strange nails, asked Father Lucas about them. Father Lucas explained that these were likely symptoms of possession, but Michael, being highly skeptical of demons and supernatural forces, looked at everything scientifically. Michael came to a conclusion that the changes in Rose's body were not due to a demon, but rather the result of psychological trauma and isolation. He believed that Rose had been sexually abused by her father, which had led to her mysterious pregnancy and the subsequent mental changes in her body. Father Lucas tried to convince Michael that he was on the verge of a dangerous path. He warned that if Michael wanted to expel demons, he would have to believe in them, just as he believed in God. However, Michael remained firm in his skepticism, stating that he would only accept the existence of demons if he saw clear evidence with his own eyes. Later, Father Lucas took Michael to a young boy who had been experiencing strange occurrences. The boy, who lived with his mother, had been dreaming about strange creatures, and he showed Michael bite marks on his body, which resembled human teeth. Father Lucas immediately recognized this as a sign of demonic activity, realizing that the boy was indeed being tormented by a demon. Father Lucas, after performing the ritual and chanting Latin words over the young boy, managed to extract a small frog from his body. The frog was immediately burned, and Father Lucas explained that this was likely the demon in disguise. However, things took a strange turn when the boy began to look at Michael in an unsettling way and whispered something to his mother. The mother was left shocked by what she heard. Later, Michael noticed that the same frog that Father Lucas had claimed to have exorcised was now in his own pocket. Confused and suspicious, Michael took the frog to a nearby pond to dispose of it, only to find that the pond was already filled with similar frogs. This confirmed his growing suspicion that Father Lucas had tricked him. There were no actual rituals or Latin incantations involved, it was all a facade. Just as Michael was about to confront Father Lucas about the deception, they received news that Rose had attempted suicide. Rushing to the hospital, they found that despite the doctor's best efforts, Rose remained uncontrollably violent and was not responding to any treatment. It became painfully clear that the demon had fully taken over her body. Michael, still holding on to his scientific beliefs, confronted the demon inside Rose, asking what it wanted. The demon revealed that it sought the girl's soul and was determined to take her away. Michael, dismissing the demon as merely a manifestation of Rose's dark thoughts, continued to deny the existence of demons and told it to stop its act. In response, the demon became enraged, torturing Rose's body further. Despite Father Lucas's attempts to stop it, Rose's body became too frail, and she eventually succumbed to the torment, dying right in front of them. Father Lucas, devastated by Rose's death, felt immense guilt. He realized that if he had handled the situation better, he could have saved her, but his failure during the exorcism led to another innocent life being lost. His sense of responsibility and his inability to protect the child haunted him as he faced the consequences of his actions. Michael, on the other hand, walked away, still skeptical about the existence of demons and struggling to understand the tragic events he had just witnessed. Michi, after hearing about his father's critical condition from Father Javier, quickly prepares to fly out to see him, but things take a strange turn. As he gets ready, he begins to see small frogs appearing in his room, only to disappear moments later. Confused and uneasy, Michael struggles to make sense of these eerie occurrences, but the unsettling feeling continues to haunt him. Just when he's about to leave, Michael receives the tragic news that all flights have been cancelled due to a severe storm, making it impossible for him to reach his father in time. Feeling more disturbed than ever, he leaves his home and checks into a hotel to escape the unsettling atmosphere. However, things escalate further when Michael suddenly receives a disturbing phone call. On the other end, he hears his father's frantic voice, shouting in terror, "It's going to take me away. My life is in danger." This ominous call sends a chill down Michael's spine, as it confirms his worst fears: something sinister is after his father, and he is unable to do anything to help him in time. The connection between the frogs, the strange occurrences in his life, and his father's condition seems to be becoming more and more entwined with dark, supernatural forces that Michael can't explain. The growing sense of doom around Michael intensifies as he faces the unknown terror threatening his father, unsure whether the events unfolding are part of a deeper conspiracy or a demonic force at work. Before Michael could say anything, the doctor's voice started coming through. The doctor told Michael that his father had passed away 3 hours ago, but Michael responded that he had just spoken to his father. How could this be possible? After all this, the call was disconnected. Michael immediately fell into depression because his father was the only family member left. His mother had passed away when he was a child. He started looking at the greeting cards his mother had given him. His mother had always blessed him, saying that God's hand was on him, and no evil force could touch him. Michael began feeling a lot of strange things, which seemed related to some dark power. Michael then quickly called Angelica and took her to the boy's house, where they had previously treated him. Michael noticed that when he and Father Lucas had been treating the boy, the child must have whispered something into his mother's ear. So, Michael began asking the boy's mother what the words were. She revealed that her son had said that Michael's father would die soon. Michael was shocked and realized that the boy was indeed possessed because he had somehow predicted the future. After leaving the house, Michael, still in shock, confirmed to Angelica that the boy's words had come true: his father was now dead. This troubled him greatly, and he went straight to Father Lucas. However, Father Lucas was in a very fragile condition, as another innocent life had been lost due to an exorcism, and he was living with a great deal of guilt. It was now evident that Father Lucas himself had become possessed by a demon, one of the most powerful ones in the Yara level. His condition was slowly deteriorating, and he started behaving very strangely. Father Lucas even began pulling out the same black nails from his mouth that Rose had pulled out. Moreover, when Michael came to meet him, Father Lucas was standing in the rain, drenched, in a very unnatural way. Michael began to sense that perhaps the demon that was inside him was one of the most powerful ones at the Yara level. For the time being, Michael took Father Lucas inside his house, but Lucas had already realized that he was possessed. That's why he told Michael to bring Father Javier quickly and that they had to perform the exorcism soon, or else the demon would continue to torment him. Michael quickly called Father Javier and Angelica, but when he reached Father Lucas, the dangerous demon inside him knew that Michael didn't believe in demons. So, it began trying to scare Michael, telling him things he didn't know. The demon inside Lucas said that when your father was dying, he was all alone, because you didn't fulfill your duty as a son. He died in pain, all alone. This made Michael feel a little scared, because that was exactly what the demon wanted. Soon after, Father Javier arrived, and then the demon inside Lucas began taking control of his body. It twisted his arms behind his back and started torturing him. Michael and Father Javier quickly tied him to a chair to begin the exorcism, making sure that Lucas couldn't move. Now, with full devotion, Michael had to chant all the Latin words to continue the exorcism. Although Michael followed all the exorcism protocols and tried to expel the demon from Lucas, the demon inside him kept laughing because Michael didn't trust himself yet, nor did he believe in the dark magical entities that harm people. That's why the Latin words Michael was repeating had no effect on the demon. Michael even told Angelica that he couldn't do it, but she motivated him, telling him that he could do it if he only believed in himself. Then, Michael remembered the greeting card from his mother, which was from Jesus Christ, and it said that he was a good child of God and that he had the power within him. Michael, after thinking deeply, finally gathered the courage to chant the words again, and this time, the exorcism began to work because Michael had started believing. The demon inside Lucas came out, first attacking Angelica, and then moving forward to harm Michael as well. Although at that time, it was trying to weaken Michael, he and Father Javier continued chanting, completing the exorcism, and expelling the demon from Lucas's body. Lucas's condition had deteriorated so much that he was taking his last breaths. Michael realized at that moment that demons truly exist, and not believing in them had been his biggest mistake. Lucas passed away, and after that, Michael decided to study these matters properly and aspire to be like Father Lucas. Our story ends here.